All right, so welcome back to I'll name this segment later. GTG spits that grease, so on and so forth. Title forever in the works, but we'll go ahead and carry over from the previous title. Big ups to Kenneth. We're here with that pulled pork. You know what I'm saying? Just keeping it consistent. If you guys have a recommendation for a title, please leave it down in the comment section, and it might make it up on the next one, depending on how many I decide to shoot for today. In any case, if the title hasn't given me away yet, we're going to talk a little bit about Keemstar going ahead and making a move to go ahead and capitalize off of DSP Snakening 2.0, the great snakening over 3 different detractor communities, or however DSP is trying to sell that bullshit. I think my part 1 of that is up, so part 2 and 3 are coming. So that's a thing. Anywho, ended up having to do some IRL stuff yesterday. Didn't make it back at home in time because I was going to jump on Discord and talk to some peoples. Didn't get a chance to do that. My fault. Hopefully I'll catch up with them later on in the week. But I did ended up seeing this post this morning, which is from last night. But I saw this post this morning. I thought that was interesting. So check this out. So here's Keemstar right here, capitalizing off of DSP's hard work and his careful planning, his experiment, if you will. And he wants to set up a stream, well, what he believes is a stream of a lifetime, with LowTierGod, DSP, and Wings of Redemption. Now, and with $1,000 a piece. Now, first off and foremost, Wings would probably get the larger amount because they need Wings back on the main show. So he would get the larger cut. Offering LTG and DSP $1,000 is not going to work. One, LTG, as far as I know, I'm catching up. I'm catching up on my lore over there. He's like $3,000, $4,000. If I talk to Meth Bear or there's a few people I can reach out to, actually. Big ups to all of them, by the way. But there's a few people I could probably speak to. But if I spoke to like Meth Bear, for example, he could give me hard numbers. I'm pretty sure Dale is like 3,000 plus behind on child support. So he needs like $5,000 or 5 bands, if you will. I think he's asking for 10, but we'll get to that. So he's going to want a little bit more than that for a one-time appearance. In DSP, following his one-sided love affair, you know what I'm saying, with the BBC, he's going to want what LTG gets, or he's going to want even more, because he's going to look at it as, I'm the draw. I'm the one that made all this happen. You're only wanting to get all 3 of us on the show. This weird lol cow love triangle bullshit, which is completely one-sided, by the way. This is all happening because of DSP. DSP would say that, and he kind of has a right to say that. So he's gonna want as much as LTG is, or if not more. And Wings is buck broken. Like, let's cut the shit. He kind of needs the money too, actually. He's gonna need more than 1,000, because I think he just put money down on a new car. Speaking of which, and I've been wanting to talk about this for a minute, and I was going to wait until I start up the Wings report this year, which I'll bring it up when I do. But it's very obvious that Wings doesn't buy cars, he leases them. That's clearly what that is, because there's no way that Kelly's getting into all the accidents that Wings says that she does without, and them being able to swap cars that quickly or roll them over without being in some type of lease type situation. If there's no way he has enough capital, and more importantly, has the ability to raise capital or liquidity to sit there and be able to cover all of those accidents that she's been in. It's not a thing. They must lease, to be honest with you. And after a year or 2, they bump off. And if you look at when the last vehicle, the one that Kelly allegedly got into that car accident, they only had it for maybe a year or 2. So that's my thoughts on that, but it's just a theory. It's just a theory. It's not exactly a good Theo theory, but it's a theory. Shouts out to Theo. All right. So my thoughts on this as it pertains to Keem and this whole situation. Well, one, we got to look at the situation with LolCow Live, the LolCow universe as a whole, to be honest with you. It's an absolute fucking trash fire. It's the worst type of scripted show. Everybody sees it for what it is. Everybody's in there basically just shooting from the bow or shooting from the hip, hoping something sticks. They had Foodie Beauty up there not too long ago. I don't know how that went because I didn't bother watching it. I do know that after the fact, she was crying and complaining about she didn't get her $100 that she was promised as an appearance fee. So it just goes to show that she was willing to sell herself out for the price of DoorDash, apparently, which Keem could have just sent her that been the end of it. On top of it, the fact that she didn't ask for more money, and she didn't ask for at least some of it in advance, shows you how stupid she is. I bet you Amber asked for her cut, a portion of her cut in advance, but Foodie's apparently not there. So there's that. Excuse me. The main show's trash. Most of the other shows are garbage too. I don't even know where Amber's at now. After like show 4 or 5, I was done. So I was kind of done with that. It didn't look like it was going to go anywhere, and I'm pretty sure that I'm right on that. And then everybody knows that Keem is desperate to get Wings back, but he's not willing to concede to whatever Wings' demands are. And we also know that Pedo behind the camera, sorry, no, I'm not sorry, fuck him, up against the wall. Pedo behind the camera and Keemstar want Becky Boot back, but they can't get a hold of her. Even though there are rumors circulating that Becky's talking about coming back later on in the year, back to the internet, I should say. But there's talks about she's in a psych ward. There's all kinds of weird stories out there about where Becky's at. So that is what that is. So for Keem to try to, you know, take this opportunity, it makes sense. Here's the thing. How are you going to structure it? You can't put Boogie in that up there on that show. Not for that one. I mean, Boogie kind of needs that appearance, but he's got a bunch of shit against him right now too. So that's not a thing. On top of that, big ups to Proper. I hear Lebrowski got his channel struck down. I wonder who was behind that. Keem, Pedo behind the camera, one of your minions over there. I'm wondering who would Boogie himself. Now that I think about it, there's a bunch of suspects who could come up on that, but we'll wait. We'll wait, because Lebrowski has not gone at anybody's neck except for the main people on LOL Live. So who would have the most to gain by watching him fall? Now I think about it, Rastov, put his ass up there too. He can be the 4th of the LOL unusual suspects who may have had some type of benefit to do it, or not means, motive, who may have had a motive to do it, more than likely at Keem's demand, because I'm hearing that Rastov is talking about going back, if he hasn't already, because that's what Keem does. He collects weak bitches. So it is what it is on that. As it pertains to, so how are you going to even structure the show? Even as a one-time appearance, how are you going to structure it? And then, are you going to make the money back? Keem, Daniel, how are you going to make the money back? Let's say that you paid each one of them. Let's say he was able to actually lock that in. Let's say that it's going to cost him 15 grand. Can you make $15,000 back on that shit, Keem, as a show? No, you can't. You can't. Unless that video, or unless on ad revenue, you pull 20,000 plus off of that, which means you would need over 1 million views on it. How are you going to do it? You're going to go ahead and get fucking Dale or LowTierGod's troll community to throw money at you? They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. Not at all. And if not, they'll just charge it back. You're going to get DSP detractors, trolls, haters, and critics to do it? I don't think so. You might get a detractor that may do that, but you're not going to get anybody doing that. And if they do, they'll just charge it back. And then with Wings, of course, none of Wings' trolls are going to play that game. So where's the money going to come from, Keem? Where's the money going to come from? You're going to pull from your own audience? You mean the same audience that you ain't ran off for the most part with all the fucking fraudulent bullshit you guys have been doing over there? Where's the money going to come from, Keem? You're going to go ahead and send yourself, allegedly, big donations to go ahead and prop that shit up to make it seem like it's more popular than what it is? Or are you going to get the other hosts to throw money at the show to inflate the donations and contributions to make it seem like it's more successful than what it is? Allegedly. Just a rumor, just something I heard. So where's the money going to come from? Where's the money going to come from? And now that Lebrowski's out of pocket, there's a lot of people that are big mad about that, King. You may not even know that you're going to have to answer for that one. So where's the money going to come from? Anyway, so that's the key part of it. Let's go ahead and go and see how the responses came. I'm going to try to do this in order because I'm pretty sure LowTierGod was next to respond. The problem is LTG's fucking post is gone, which means he more than likely took it down, which is weird. I don't see why he'd want to do that. So I'm just gonna, so even if LowTierGod wasn't the second person or the first person to respond to this, I'm gonna go with it anyway. So apparently, let's see here, using a picture of me that is purposely filtered and fucked up to somehow try to demean him or some bullshit. I don't know what the meaning of that is, because if you Google LTG, you can find pictures all over the place. If you go to any troll channel, go into their posts, you can find a bunch of pictures there. of various quality. So Keem or Pedo behind the camera could have got it from anywhere. It doesn't even matter. So I don't understand why he's mad about that shit. Anyway, for him, but the offer of $1,000 to show up, I agree. I'm not going up there for $1,000. You're gonna have to pay me at least $5 minimum, to be honest with you. Why sell yourself short? And obviously LTG is hitting fucking Keemstar with the fucking DSP shit. 10 bands, that's what my price is. And if not, stay the fuck up off my dick with the 3 veins on top. So that's what the so that's what LTG's thoughts are on that situation. Now let's look at LTG's circumstances outside of what I said earlier, but let me reiterate what I said earlier. If what I remember reading was correct, LTG owes the baby's mom about $3,000+ in back child support, which means he theoretically needs $5,000. It makes sense to go for 10. So yeah, $1,000 isn't going to do it. And the reason why I would assume Keem is doing that is to give them some type of motivation to possibly come back for a larger bag. But then again, rumors are going around that Keem has a rather fickle way of having a fickle way or a problematic way of paying people or paying them on time, allegedly. So, you know, that's not a thing. So he would have to pay basically LTG $5 grand up front just to show up. I don't know if Keem's going to do that. I don't think Keem's going to be willing to do that, especially with no guarantee on his investment. So there you go on that. As it pertains to the viewership that LTG would bring in, yeah, he's going to bring in a good amount. To be honest with you, all 3 of them being up there are going to bring in a good amount. But there's not going to be any wings trolls that are going to throw any money at this shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know if any of LTG's fan base would throw any money at it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not directly benefiting Dale. You know what I'm saying? So them supporting the show over there financially is not necessarily a good thing. Now, with that being said, is it a good look for Dale to go up there? For LTG to grace the platform of fucking LOLcow Universe, or LOLcow Live in particular? Well, that's debatable. First off, let's go ahead and look at some of the people that are already up there. Look at Keem. Now, Keem's drinking has been well known long before LOLcow Live started. He seems like he's a full-blown alcoholic now, so it didn't do him any favors. Boogie is sitting there just fucking his walls up and his home up, honestly, for the sake of doing it. I don't know if Keem's gonna compensate him for that. I don't know if he was planning on doing some renovations anyway, and you know, whatever, just turn it into content. I don't know. Matter of fact, wasn't Boogie supposed to move out of Arkansas and move down there to the Carolinas or Georgia? Didn't he say that like a year ago? Whatever, semantic. Anyway, so I don't know if it didn't help Boogie at all. And then look at how it broke wings down. Look at what happened to Rastov. Look at what happened to CD-ROM and what came out about his ass. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. That's LOLcow Live isn't going to do too much for LTG that's going to benefit him in the long term. Okay, so let's not think about short-term gains. Let's think about long-term goals. Is LOLcow Live going to help LTG in the long term? Not necessarily. Not necessarily, unless LTG is willing to box. Unless he's willing to go up there and do the celebrity boxing thing, then maybe that might help out. That might open some doors. But I don't see how LTG going up there right now outside of the paycheck is going to really benefit him, to be honest with you. I just don't see that being a thing. But we'll see. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Exposure is a thing. You should take advantage of your opportunities. But that's if you're thinking in the long term. Let's not go for short-term gains here. Let's go for long-term goals. So that's my thoughts on that. Anyway, so LTG is like, you know, you pay my 10 grand, wah, 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 wah. But if not, he's not interested. Now let's come down to I should say, our last participant, because Wings is, like I said, buck broken. He's not going anywhere. If Keem was able to get fucking LTG and DSP, maybe, but we'll talk about that. Now, let's see what the King of Hate has to say, the King of Gout. All right, so in our LOLcow Game of Thrones here, you obviously need the King of Hate to be up there, and he's not going up there for anything less than what LTG is getting. Now, I do think if they can get LTG to go up there, then DSP might go. He may very well go. Now, the question is how much is DSP going to want? Well, DSP was offered 50 grand a couple years ago. He turned that shit down. But this is a one-time appearance. This is a one-time fee. Yet again, DSP is not going to take anything less than what LTG is getting, to be honest. And then DSP is going to go up there and he's going to try to play Puppet Master. I guarantee it. He's going to go up there and he's going to try to manipulate the situation between with Wings, right? Using Wings as leverage to go at LTG and say, why won't you talk to me? Why don't this, that, and the third? It's going to sound like a fucking crazy ex-girlfriend bitch fest. And he's going to really make himself look stupid, to be honest with you. But we'll get to that. So that's what I think. That's what I think DSP is going to want to come to the table. They need Keem's going to need to have LTG in pocket. DSP is going to want as much as LTG gets, if not more. And then he's probably going to want a guarantee from Wings to come back onto his podcast later. Because remember, Wings is the weakest link out of all these three. So that's my thoughts and whatnot. Now let's go ahead and then here's this post here. This has to be a joke. No one's wasting their time for chump change, even though we beg for $150 a stream, but $1,000 is chump change, whatever. And yada 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 yada. That's what I surmise about DSP. He's not going up there. He's not going up there for any less than what LTG is getting, and then a guarantee from Wings, because he's gonna look at it as like, I'm doing you a favor, Wings, by coming up here. This show only happens because of me. You need to do me a favor. He can't do that with LTG because LTG has leverage. Wings don't. So there's our situation there. Let's talk about Wings briefly. Wings is buck broken, like I said. He's not going to go up there until he's desperate enough to do so, which I think he is. I honestly think that Wings has been negotiating with Keem. He wants certain concessions to be made, and Keem hasn't been willing to buck on that yet. But as we get closer and closer to Fat Camp 2.0, Electric Boogaloo, Keem might be willing to bend the knee just to get Wings to go out there. We'll see. But Wings isn't gonna move, I don't think, for anybody, to be honest with you. He just seems unmotivated to do anything and really disinterested. So what it would take to bring Wings to the table, I couldn't tell you, outside of meeting his demands for LOL Universe in the long term. So that would probably be what his long-term goal is. You know what I'm saying? Or what his long-term gains would be from this situation. Now, briefly, let's talk about the show in general with all three of them and what's the real payoff, if you will. First off, you're going to bring all three of them up there. What are you guys going to talk about? You know what I'm saying? To be honest. So let's say that it's the three of them and then Keem and Boogie. Because it'd be dumb to put Rastov up there. Fucking A. So it would probably be Keem. What are you going to talk about, Keem? You're going to talk about the snake eating 2.0? You're going to talk about how fucking DSP tried to puppet master them, and DSP is going to give you guys a long and drawn out diatribe about how he's the one that pushes the meter, he's the Gouty algorithm bull, and he's the one who actually makes everything happen with this bullshit? And realistically, this whole show, meaning LTU or Local Live, was built around the concept of having him up there anyway, and he turned it down. He's just going to go up there and gloat, basically. LTG is going to laugh his ass off. Wings is just going to kind of sit there with a mild level of contempt until he finally starts throwing some jabs, and we'll see how DSP takes it. As for LTG, he's going to be like, hey, I'm here, talk whatever the fuck you want because the clock is ticking and whatnot. There's no real value there, and the only person that I would think LTG would be even willing to talk to is Keem, to be honest, because that's the person, that's the money, that's the bank. So that's the only person that he really cares to talk about. Wings, like I said, he's just going to go through the motions. He's going to go through the motions. Now, if you're going to make this shit interesting, or if DSP is going to make this shit interesting, he has to get into his little Gouty fucking manipulator mastermind bullshit and somehow confront LTG directly and say, hey, you treated Wings poorly. You treated him badly. And I did all this to defend him because who are you to beat up on my punching bag? And hope he can draw LTG out in the pitch battle doing that shit. LTG is going to sniff that shit up from a mile away. So he's not going to fucking entertain any of that dumb shit. He's like, I've already had an interview with Wings. I already told him what I need to tell him. I told him that 2+ years ago. well, 2020, 2021, one of the two, before he got banned off YouTube, I think. So I've already spoken to him. I've already talked to him and whatnot. You didn't say anything else. You didn't say anything different from what I said outside the fact that you were trying to punch down on him. So what exactly did you do to enrich his life? And I guarantee you, in that type of situation, Wings is going to side with LTG, but he'll probably try to give DSP a light hand, saying that, oh, well, Phil was just trying, you know, to help the best way he knows how, you know, DSP doesn't have a lot of life experience, which he doesn't. And, you know, he was trying to do it in good faith. Obviously, everybody else is going to call bullshit. The chat's going to go crazy. But yet again, where's the money that's going to be drawn from this? And where's the actual entertainment value outside of fucking LTG roasting DSP for the better part of an hour? And then what? You know what I'm saying? LTG goes ahead and takes down a fucking opponent who he doesn't even look like or doesn't even look at as an actual opponent or one of value or worth, and he moves along with his day. DSP will sit there and try to spin that shit to make it a victory any way, which way he sees fit, and Wings just goes back to his squalor, and Keem is left with a video that may do 100,000 views, maybe more, depending on, you know, how receptive people are to it. But outside of that, I should say, the respective clippers from each one of their three communities are going to take that shit and move on it. So Keem will get his initial views, but the trolls will get more than that. And then there you go. And then if the video really fails, Keem more than likely will just turn around and blame Duty. So, because you know Duty, he's going to clip this shit as it's going on. As if that shit with that shit with Kino Casino hasn't already bit him in the ass already. So, you know, to be honest with you, this is it's kind of a dud. Like, there's nothing really to be gained for anybody outside of the initial money. In the long term, there's nothing. If this happened a year plus ago, then maybe. But now everybody looks at Lol Cow Live as a legitimate joke. And then for Keem, getting them there is one thing. How are you going to keep them there? How are you going to keep them coming back? What can you offer any one of these three? Let's take Wings, for example. Wings says that he was making doctor money over there. Now he's over there crying and complaining and bitching on his own streams. He doesn't want to move. So what does that say? LTG wants 10 grand. If you want him on the show in a permanent capacity, he's going to want, he'll at least want between 2,000 and 5,000 an appearance. He's not going to want a long-term contract. He's going to want an appearance fee. And he's not going to want to do it every day. Which makes sense. Having Lol Cow Live every fucking day is stupid. So he's not going to want to appear for that. He's going to want to do 2 or 3 days. He's going to want to pick his days. He's going to want to pick his times. And he's going to want a direct fee, or an exact fee, if you will, for each time he shows up. Is Keem willing to bargain with that? All this bullshit about, oh, well, you'll get a percentage of this, you want to get a percentage of that. He's not going to want none of that. He's not going to want none of that. And if he does, his contract is going to be ridiculous. LTG is going to have crazy demands in that contract. And there's no way that Keem's going to talk him down. Out of the three of them, LTG is probably the only person that's willing to stand on business when it comes to his price, or to the demands that he has, the parameters of the contract. So that's not going to work. And then DSP, I mean, you see what kind of bitch-made faggot he is. How are you going to pull that bullshit off? How are you going to make that shit work? Not only you, if you thought Becky was a headache to work with, DSP is going to be worse. And he's only going to do it to try to build up his own brand. You know what I'm saying? And then eventually he's going to do with these three here in the exact same way he tried to do with Boogie and Wings in the beginning, and try to say, we don't need Keem. Let's just take his money for the time being, and then break off and do our own shit. He's going to literally try to commandeer the audience. So the same shit that Pedo Behind the Camera and Keemstar accused Becky Boop of doing, DSP will try to finagle the same bullshit. And interestingly enough, people keep talking about, oh, well, didn't Keem say that they had sponsorships and they had endorsements and they were going to do all this for the show? Funny enough, where are those sponsorships and endorsements? Where are the ad reads at? They're not pushing G Fuel. They're not pushing, what's that, Gamer Substance, or Gamer Subs, I should say, or Subs. They're not pushing that shit. They're not pushing anything. They're not pushed. I mean, they push their merch, but fuck all of that. they're not pushing any type of real sponsorships or anything. Don't they have a deal with like Meta PC or some bullshit? Or one of those independent like PC builders? I don't see none of that being advertised on any of the shows. So where's all that at? So from a business standpoint, LCU and LOL universe as a whole, if they do have any of those sponsorships or endorsements, they're not being advertised. So obviously none of the real estate is being used or not being used properly. Keem is just sitting there trying to poach off the internet as he always has, with no real long-term plans for the show, clearly. That's why he lets the bullshit shenanigans go on the way they do, because the show don't have no direction. The universe doesn't have a direction. The fucking captain of that ship doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. That's the reason why it's not called Lol Cow Podcast. He let that shit slip through his motherfucking fingers because he let Tommy C get all in his feelings and shit, get emotional like a bitch, and then sit there and fuck everything up. And then fucking Tommy didn't even know that he was getting screwed over. He didn't let some dude play him and then play Boogie and whatnot. And Tommy is smart enough, or he should have been, to be able to see the bullshit for what it was and stop it. And he didn't. And he didn't. And he didn't because he was resentful. He was mad about what happened with Baited Podcast all those years ago. And he was mad that fucking Keem doesn't take him seriously. So in some ways, and this is something I've been formulating over the last 6 to 8 months or so, I think Tommy C was happy that that Lol Cow Podcast failed. I think he was happy that it happened because he knew that it was going to be baited all over again. And theoretically, he might have been right. So there you go on that. So there's my thoughts, ladies and gentlemen, on this whole bringing the three Lol Cows together and shit, and Keem's fucking weird ass collecting the fucking Lol Cow gems and shit for the fucking infinite gauntlet or whatever. It's not feasible. He's not going to meet those demands. And yet again, how's he going to recoup his money? And I think that's the most important part. That it would be the biggest show, I would say, that they've had. Bigger than Amber, bigger than the Wings Return. It may very well be the biggest show ever. He's going to have Keem would theoretically, let's talk about it from Keem's standpoint and closing. Keem would have probably more eyes on this than everything, or than anything, I should say. I'm sorry. What are we going to do? If you have any sponsorships or endorsements to throw on that show, you need to do it, but you don't have it because if you did, it'd be up there anyway. On top of that, how are you going to recoup the money? And everybody says, oh, Keem's a millionaire, this, that, and the third. Yeah, I'm sure he is. Well, not sure he is. I know he is, actually, because I got a pretty good idea of what his net worth is. Here's the thing. The rich don't stay rich by just giving the money away. He's not a philanthropist, if you will, sorry, and whatnot. As generous as people say he is, he's not that. So he's going to have to recoup the money. How's he going to do it? If he doesn't have troll donations, it is what it is. And he's damn sure not going to pull in 15 to 20,000 on that show. That's not enough to cover the guests. That's not even enough to cover his own fee. So where's the money going to come from? And then it's going to be a short-term boost. And then Keem needs to figure out how he's going to bring them in later. How's he going to build on that momentum? And he's not going to be able to. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with like DSP right now, right? He had the benefit of having being with Kino Casino, right? And being at the forefront, I can't say the top of, but at the forefront of drama content, right? Then he had an opportunity to be over there with Asmongold. So then he had a chance of being in the gaming sphere, being in the kind of commentary type sphere, and being almost at the top. Well, being at the top of that, I should say, being at the top of that. And DSP is now he's getting ready to fall into this Lol Cow thing, and now he's looking at it like, hey, Keem, what can you offer me? What stimulus package does Keemstar have to offer Darkside Phil that's going to last between 8 months with Kino Casino and then the 1 month between Asmongold? What does Keem really have to offer him in the long term? Like I said, we're not going for short-term gains. We're looking at long-term goals. What can Keem offer him? There's no clout to be had from going on Lol Cow Live. Most of the people on Lol Cow Live, they're already watching detractors for the most part, or they're watching the drama community. Watching DSP directly is boring. So all you're going to do is feed his detractors, trolls, haters, and critics. DSP is not going to benefit from that. Now, it's possible that some of the people over there on LolCow will do troll donations to DSP and they won't charge it back, but it won't be much because they're already locked into the fucking LolCow Live or LolCow Universe ecosystem. Yet again, where's our long-term goals going to be at? Where's our long-term gains going to be at? There isn't any. To make a long story short, Keemstar has debased the LCU to such a degree that there is no gains to be up there. You're giving all three of these guys a much larger platform to be laughed at, and then that's it. The trolls eat, and they'll eat well for about a week, and then what's done is done if Keem can't bring them back to the table. And the only way Keem's going to do that is if he forks out more of his own money to do so. What, you know what I'm saying? Like, there is no real gains. There's no real way of him recouping the money. If Keem has to throw 15 grand up, he's not going to make it back off that single show. It's just not a thing. Unless he fudges the numbers to make it look like it. But then he still has to follow that up too. What I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen, is there is no benefit to anybody outside of short term. You know what I'm saying? Would that show give him the boost like what DSP's appearance did on Side Scrollers? It could. It could. But it probably won't because everybody knows what to expect from LCU. Jesus Christ. Look at what's going on over there with Girl World, right? That shit with Amber Lynn, all those big troll donations they were sending that first week or so, most of that shit's dried up. Amber's being caught in her own lies damn near daily. And the show's becoming stagnant. And Amber is only keeps appearing so she can buy time until she can get remonetized on YouTube, and then she's out. She's out. So they couldn't hold her. Fucking Foodie Beauty, as desperate as she is for DoorDash, you would think she would be quick to go over there and get close with her buddy Amber. She really isn't. Especially not after that $100 fee or what her $100 appearance fee showed up late. So now you got that problem too. Keem has driven the idea into the ground, and he would need something monumental to pick it up. This isn't it. This is gonna feed this is gonna feed everybody else but Keem. But then Keem needs people to buy into it, and no one's gonna do that. Especially the demographic who don't fuck with fucking the pedophiles over there, the groomers over there, the fucking abusers over there, the racists over there, and all the other lames that they have over there. So that's not going to be a thing either. It's dead. It's DOA. As far to make a long story short, the whole shit's DOA on arrival. But that's just my thoughts. We'll see if it happens. My best guess is it's not, unless Keem is willing to throw out 30,000. 10,000 per man, one-time deal. Outside of that, no. And even if Keem was stupid enough to do that, there is no long-term benefits. It doesn't, he can say that, yeah, I finally got DSP up there. Okay, congratulations. You know what I'm saying? At this point. If it was a year ago, that probably would have meant something. Now, it's not what you get. It's what you can keep. You know what I'm saying? It's what you can keep. And I don't think he can't hold the three of them. I don't even think he can hold one of them, to be honest, let alone the three. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening in. I very much appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys for the next one of these, whenever that may be. Just, it is what it is. I think it's a, it's a pipe dream, to be honest with you. It's fool's gold, to be honest. There's no way and whatnot. And if any one of them, mainly LTG, if he sold himself short, he'll never be able to bounce back from that. Ever. He'll never be able to bounce himself back from it. If LTG takes anything less than 10 grand, he'll never be able to live that down. His trolls will be on his bumper from here on out, on how he sold himself out like a whore to a person who looks at people like him, who look like him, and think of them as nothing more than common age Negroes, third-class citizens that should be out there on the field. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you've heard that. For those of you who know what I'm talking about, you've heard that Keem rant years and years ago. But that's how Keem really feels. That's how he was raised and whatnot. So it is what it is. You don't change your fucking spots and shit. You know what I'm saying? The only color that should matter in this world is money. Especially if you're playing at Keems level. Because look at all the races he have over there, and he's willing to avoid it or ignore it because they're entertaining until they're not. So keep that in mind. LTG takes anything less than 10 grand. He's only betraying himself. And theoretically, this doesn't move forward without LTG. Because if you can get LTG and you can't get DSP, there's really nothing lost. Honestly. If you could just combo wings in there, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You get your drumstick and you get your wing. You know, you get your breast and wing, I should say. You'll be fine. You don't necessarily need the biscuit. You know what I'm saying? We don't really need that. All we need is hot sauce and honey, and we'll make this work. We'll make this work. Anyway, take care of yourselves, people. I'll holler at y'all later. This has been I'll name this segment later. GTG spits that grease, that pulled pork, and I'll catch you guys later. Thanks a lot, people. Later.